What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Bro Tech Gaming Podcast. I'm Sean, here with my boy Carlos. Today we are going to be discussing episode 2 of the Last of Us series on HBO, episode number 2, and it was a banger, but we are going to get into it right now. So, Carlos, start us off, please, Maestro, episode 2.
Yes, I will. Before I do that, I just want to do a cheers to the episode because I felt like it was really good. So nice,
Bomb.
cold, truly, and let's get into it.
I'm drinking tea.
Gross. All right. So, second episode starts off with inside of Indonesia, where the police walk into a restaurant to go find that. I don't know if she was a professor or a doctor or like a specialist slash doctor or something like that.
I think she was just kind of like a, like a specialist in. Obviously, she knew a lot about fungus, so she's going to be a specialist with probably like some kind of like medical disease expertise. She kind of understands. Obviously, she understood the severity of like the start of that spread. I mean, whatever you want to call it, like a botanist, scientist, fungal species matter super
Yeah,
expert.
just whatever it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they basically go in there. They escort her to a facility. They tell her to look inside
Microscope.
the microscope. There you go.
Mhm.
I'm drunk. So she looks in the microscope. She asks why they use a certain fluid with what they mixed it with, and the guy says it was human. That it's like they usually use that when they mix it with human flesh or whatever it is, and you can kind of see in her face that she it pretty much clicks in her head that she's already like fuck, like I already know what's happening. um they take her to go see a body that was infected. She lifts up the leg and she does like a small little cut, and you can kind of see, like from what I saw, it was just white. It didn't really look like too much.
Yeah, it kind of made me think like there was almost like an under skin that was sort of growing underneath it, like underneath the tissue. Almost like you had like a double layer, like a second, almost like a second epidermis, that was underneath like the main skin, which I guess kind of makes sense because the way the fungus grows, it goes from the inside out. So
Yeah, so then she goes into the mouth and it looks like she's trying to take out one of the little I don't know, I keep calling them spores, but they're not spores.
they call them like tendrils, but there's like another word that they use in the episode, basically about like the little like strands, almost like feelers or like strands that come off of the like the fungus. But there is
Yeah.
a word they use.
Yeah, so she pulls them out and then she gets really scared. She backs out. She starts talking to the cop. I don't know if he's a cop or like a army person. And just telling him that like this, we can't stop it. There's not going to be no cure. There's no medicine. You just have to bomb the cities, stop it.
Yeah, that was deep.
And she has to go home so she can be with her family because she already knows what's going to happen.
Mhm.
So after that flashback, we go back to present time. We see Ellie waking up. She kind of does like a little stretch, looks around, and then she sees Joel and Tess, and Joel has the gun on her, thinking that she's gonna turn any second, which was kind of funny. I was waiting for her to like pop a joke, and she didn't.
Yeah, I mean, comparing it to the game, I think that she had a lot of sarcasm in the show, uh, which got a little tiresome kind of at the beginning because like I know that Ellie in the game is sarcastic, but it's a different kind of sarcasm. She's like more of a smartass. Um, so they're definitely like laying that heavy with the show. But I think it still kind of follows, the nature of the character otherwise.
Yeah.
Um,
So after she sees them, Joel asks to look at her arm to see the bite. It's completely healed up already. It's all scarred up.
mhm.
I was kind of thinking like, why didn't she tell them how long it had been since she got bit? Because she
Well,
don't.
I think it was kind of mentioned. I almost want to watch the end of the first episode because like it was so like rushed when they found out. Um, because they drew it out a little bit longer in the game, but like at the end of part one, like it turns red and Tess is like showing Joel, and then like in a panic. Ellie's like, this is old, like this is like 3 weeks old. It's fine. Like I'm not infected. And it's like it all happened like really, really fast. So I think they know that it was like more than a few weeks. But then obviously like we're getting back to the realization of that in episode 2 of like, okay, well, like what are we dealing with here? Which is why they were watching Ellie so closely because they're freaked out now. Now that they've kind of like gotten out of the quarantine zone and can kind of like absorb everything that just happened. So I feel like it was mentioned in the first episode, but I'd have to double check it. But
Okay, for sure. Okay, so after that, she has to use the bathroom, and then Joel and Tess are able to talk to themselves. Not like they couldn't while she was sleeping, but they wait till she wakes up to go over the plan. So they agree on taking her to the Fireflies because they still want to stick to the regular plan of getting the battery.
yeah,
So they agree. They leave. I think they went to like the top of the building so they can see pretty much like the city or where they're going next. They see on the floor that there's a bunch of clickers. I don't know if they're clickers or if they're just like a different type.
yeah. So I think we're kind of in between like the runners and the stalkers still, because they haven't been like their neuro hasn't been completely taken over from the fungus. Well, like where the clickers rely on like sound, like these still have like their eyes and their ears and stuff like that. So like they're kind of like busting at the brain, but they're not as far along as clickers yet. So I think most of them are still kind of like early stages, somewhere between like runners and maybe stalkers. Because the stalkers still have their senses, but they just like they just move a little bit differently.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, that makes sense.
but it was giving me some like World War Z vibes for a second, just watching them all like writhe all at the same time, just like this wave of just like
Yeah,
like moving around.
yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too.
Yeah.
Because they're all laying out like in the middle of the street and the sun hits like a small portion of them, but they all feel it. So Ellie says that they're all connected, which I mean, she's basically telling the audience that they're all connected.
Yeah.
So that way, so we know what happens later in the show.
Hmm.
Um, so after that, I'm thinking they go back to the bottom. They make their way over to the museum.
Well, they go a couple different ways. So they try like one route and it gets blocked off because they're basically saying like, well, do we want to go like the long way or the short way? Like the short way is the most dangerous way. They're definitely going to die, and so they decide to take the long way. But the route that they normally take when they go through the city is blocked off because there's a bunch of like rubble that's basically just crashed down on like whatever path they normally take. So then they're kind of forced to take a different route, which is when they're just like, well, we're gonna have to go through the museum.
All right, so they go into the museum. It's filled with water. So they all go in there. Ellie says that she doesn't know how to swim because
Well,
there's no swimming pools.
the water part is before the museum, so that's like an old hotel room. So
Oh yeah, you're right.
that was
You're
the
right.
first route they were gonna go through. And then it's after that that they go to the museum, which is like already completely infested with the fungus and stuff. So yeah, the part with all like the flooded water and everything, that was at like one of the other routes that they were initially going to take, and that's when they found out that they couldn't go any further and had to turn around.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so they go into the building, the hotel. Oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's right. Because she was like dinging the thing and telling them to take her bags and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's like joking around a little bit downstairs, making all that fucking noise.
Yeah, I was expecting something more to happen with that.
Yeah, yeah, but it's cool. They kept building the tension. Like obviously there were some more dangerous areas in there that they were still going to get to. So
Yeah, definitely.
um,
Okay, so once they get into the museum, that's when they start going upstairs. I think they walk through that door and then it collapses behind them, so they pretty much have to go through that way.
yes.
And you can start hearing the clicker in the background, and then they start being quiet. Joel tells Ellie, that they're blind and but they can hear. But I don't think they have like super good hearing. It's just like regular hearing.
Well, for the most part, I mean, like this, I mean, basically, like they haven't been able to rely on their sight for however long. So the only, the only sense they can hone is their hearing. So you'd only have to assume that, just that's just the same way that the fungus evolves. Maybe their senses kind of evolve a little bit too. Um, I kind of think of it as almost like sonar, how it's not even just hearing sounds, like it's almost like a echo like
Echolocation.
echolocation type stuff, because like they're still able to like get through like doors and get around like tables and stuff like that. So it's like if they were just responding to sound, they'd be crashing into stuff all the time. So I think it's definitely like more of an advanced type of sense than just them being able to hear. I think they can get a sense of like their surroundings, and I almost want to go back and read the game scripts, but like because of the way they click, like the sound that they make all the time, that's almost like a way to help them understand their surroundings so that they're not just crashing into stuff.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Um,
So the clicker, because I was a clicker, kind of walks around them, and I think Ellie took like a deep breath or something. She got scared, and the clicker jumps on Joel. And then once Joel is fighting that clicker, another clicker runs out. So Tess and Ellie like run the other way. Tess sprains her ankle. They eventually, I think they were just hiding, like because Tess leaves for something. Like you don't see her.
well, it kind of splits off in two directions because there's two clickers. So you have the clicker that's with Joel, and then Ellie's like somewhere in the middle, and then we're following Joel's perspective, so we're not following Tess's perspective, which we'll get into later. But basically like it splits it in half. So like we're not seeing what's happening on Tessa's side because she's with one clicker. We're following the clicker that's stalking Joel. And then when Joel meets back up with Ellie in that area, they're able to take out that one clicker, but then the other one shows up, and then like Tess is able to get behind it and smack it with an axe. So
Yeah. So I really liked how it was when Joel was fighting the clicker because it felt just like the game.
yeah.
Because he's running, he knocks over a statue and it crashes into the glass, and he's able to take cover. The clicker comes running in and is kind of just focused on the glass and kind of just standing there, like just not knowing what to do. And
Yeah.
Joel's reloading his gun, and you don't hear the clicker anymore. So, and they move
Yeah.
the camera so you know that it's gonna pop up like right behind him, or right when he looks to the side, it's gonna be right there.
Be more of like a jump scare moment there, but I'm kind of glad they didn't go completely cliche with like him like popping up on the other side. But I love all the tension that they had with like Joel trying to be quiet the whole time, like he's unloading his shells from his bullet or from his pistol, and like he's quietly like putting it inside his jacket pocket, and he's not trying to make a bunch of noise. And then Michelle's like, they should just like throw something to distract it.
Yeah, I
And
thought about that
I'm
too.
like, you know what? Well, in the game,
Yeah,
you probably would throw like a bottle or something. But I like how they use the environment to sort of like get around and like maneuver around that room.
yeah. I feel
So
like they will come to a point where they start using bottles and rocks and bricks or whatever that they had in the game to
yeah,
lure the clicker somewhere else, and they could just go around it.
I'd say so in more desperate situations. Yeah, like I think it was kind of hard in that situation though because you have two clickers. You don't know where the second one is. You don't want to start like bolting. So they're in like a dark confined area, and then you still have a second clicker, so making noise might not benefit them entirely in that situation because they don't know where Tess is either. So but like I think they'll probably start doing that later on. We'll definitely get to see more clickers in the show.
Yeah. So Joel meets up with Ellie again, and it felt just like the game because they're ducked behind a counter, and you kind of see Joel like turn around, like still crouching, and start walking the other way, and you're like, it looks just like the game, like just in real
Oh,
life.
like I
Like,
was playing the game, like I just want to grab my controller.
yeah, it
Start
was
like
good. It was good how they reenacted it. They definitely
yeah,
know what they're doing.
yeah, the clickers were good. Clickers were good.
So yeah, so like you said, the Joel kills the first clicker. The second clicker comes and attacks him. Tess throws it or hits the other one with the axe, and then what Joel came and shot him, or I can't remember what he did with the second
Yeah,
one.
he finished off the clicker with the rifle, but still took like three or four
Hmm.
shots though. So it wasn't easy to put down by any means. So they're probably playing the game on grounded. So
For real. Okay,
yeah.
so after the museum, they head to the rooftop, and that's where Joel was wrapping Tessa's ankle because she has sprained her ankle.
Yeah.
Ellie reveals that I think she got scratched because it didn't look like a bite. I think it was a scratch.
Yeah, it was just a scratch. And then basically she was like, well, I guess if it was gonna happen to anybody, it would happen to me. Because she's still, because she's immune. So
Yeah, so she wraps up her arm. So from there, I can't really remember what they did like right after that.
they just made their way to the Capitol building from there because they crossed the plank and then they climbed down. Uh, Tess and Joel have sort of like a little, like one-on-one moment, but you could definitely tell that there's a different kind of urgency in Tess. Like she's a little cold towards him, but she's basically telling Joel like just like think about something positive for once. Like let's get this done. And it kind of changes her tone compared to how she was earlier in the episode.
Yeah, I noticed that she was acting different.
Yeah. Of course we know why. Yeah. Huh.
All right, so they get to the meetup point. I think they scope it out for a little while. They notice nobody's there. There's a truck outside. Nobody's in it. Joel goes up to the truck, opens up the truck, and I don't think he saw the blood that was on the door because when he opened the door, he looked straight and then like into the cabin, and then when he came out, he kind of turned the other way. And then the camera shows us like all the blood that's on the door. He goes to the back of the truck, opens it. Tess comes up, and she's wondering what's going on. Um, there was a dead body outside, and then Ellie
Several
sees the
there are several
blood.
dead bodies.
Yeah, and Ellie sees the blood leading to inside. She suggests that they went inside to take cover or whatever. They go inside and they see all the dead bodies. Pretty much all the fireflies that they were supposed to meet are dead.
Hmm.
Joel sees that one of them was infected, and he pretty much 1 plus 1. They tried helping the non-sick, and they all just ended up dying anyways.
Hmm.
So Joel and Tess are kind of having a conversation, and then Ellie figures out that she was bit,
Hmm.
and then Tess shows that she was bit, like right here on the neck, and that's when one of them like wakes up,
Yeah,
and
one of the infected ones wake up, and then Joel executes him, and then that sends off a basically like hive alarm to like all of the other like infected like runners and zombies and stuff like that, and then that's when they realize that they need to get out of there because they don't have more than a minute left. And then that's basically when like Tess says like, well, like I'm gonna be dead anyway, so she decides that she's gonna like stick around and try to like slow them down and hold them off. So she basically like sets up all the drums so that there's gasoline and explosives all over the place. And then like they all like Joel and Ellie run out the back, and then Tess stays behind to try to like light the lighter when they all come in, and then it's your favorite scene of the show after that.
yeah, so one of the infected starts walking towards her, and she's just staring at it, walking towards her like she's still trying to flick the lighter. And he comes up to her like right in the face, and then all the little things come out of the mouth and goes into her mouth, and it looked like they were just making out. Like it just looks so weird.
Michelle's like, that's the kiss that should have been for Joel and Tess instead.
For
Like they should
real.
have had a kiss.
Yeah, so back before when she pours over like the gasoline, she throws a bunch of grenades on the floor also. So I
Yeah.
don't understand why she just didn't pick up a grenade and kind of hold it
I was
instead
kind of
of.
thinking of that too. Like she could have had a grenade that she pulled, but at the same time, like I mean, maybe I don't know. Like maybe she didn't know if she could rely on the grenades. Like I could probably see her doing that instead. Like that's the first thing I thought about. Is just have like a grenade, like with a pin, and just wait, and then just like let it go. But I don't know. Like for the sake of drama and maybe like dragging the scene out more, like having that happen instead. I mean, and Neil Druckmann directed this episode, so you know, maybe just different decision making there. I could have imagined the grenades probably being a better, faster option.
Yeah, because
So
instead of her just burning to death, it would have been like instant death.
yeah, for sure.
So she finally gets a lighter to light. She throws it on the floor. Joel and Ellie are already outside, and they see the building blow up. Ellie pretty much walks with Joel, and that's pretty much credits.
Basically, you kind of know when the credits are about to roll too because it starts playing the OG soundtrack from the game. So like when it starts with the OG soundtrack and then it ends with the soundtrack. You're like, oh, we're about to get the credits.
Yeah, and I actually watched all the credits. I was kind of waiting for like on the next episode.
It was at the end of the credits.
I didn't get it. It just went back to the main menu.
It's on there, but I mean, you could probably just go to HBO's YouTube and probably drag it up on HBO's YouTube, and then we'll probably get like a second opinion on episodes to come. But basically, like episode 3 is gonna focus on Bill and Frank. So, but we'll talk about that in a different episode. But okay, so after that synopsis of episode 2, so let's talk about some of the changes, which I feel like there's a lot. Um, Obviously, we had the intro to Indonesia, which I actually appreciated. I appreciate them adding more backstory to all the events that are happening in the universe in the game because I feel like we don't really get any of that in the game. So like that part was very obvious. Them trekking through the city for the most part is what we'd kind of expect. Um, the game was actually taking place at nighttime when they're going through it, and obviously it's a lot longer scenario. I feel like you spend a lot more time with Tess in the game than what you do in the show. But then I understand that the show they're trying to do more like with her character versus just having her like as a bystander in the game because she's just like a party member in the game. But I mean, otherwise, like them going through the city felt uh, pretty accurate. Like it definitely gave me like the game, the vibes from the game. So
Yeah, definitely. I think that was pretty much all they changed. I know it's not going to follow the game exactly, and they're going to change a lot of stuff.
mm.
But I'm glad that they're not, kind of doing like The Walking Dead and changing it dramatically.
Yeah, I feel like the changes they're making are actually kind of making the show better, so to speak. It feels more not realistic, but it kind of makes more sense. Like I kind of understand why they don't want to do like spores everywhere. How like the tendrils are kind of more dangerous because it's something that can touch you. Um Obviously the big difference too is the idea that all of the infected from the fungus are sort of like this like hive mind. They can kind of like feel what everything feels. It was kind of giving me some like Stranger Things Vecna vibes, how like they kind of like all feel the same thing. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I'm kind of curious like how deep that really extends, like because like when you have like a hive mind like that, it kind of it just travels, it just like do they feel what Boston's feeling like all the way in like Seattle, or do they feel what they're feeling like back in Jakarta, like ground zero, So
Yeah,
uh
well, she said that they only extend to about a mile, the ones that they found.
okay, yeah. Yeah.
So
And I guess like the tendrils that have been there the longest, they kind of die out and dry up too. So they kind of like those probably don't have much significance to the hive mind anymore once they're all dried up.
yeah, but I do get what you're saying. Like, how is it going to affect future episodes? Because now, if they kill some, they're going to be on high alert that more coming. Like, it's just going to be another wave of infected coming towards them.
Yeah. And maybe I don't know, maybe there's more emphasis on that because I don't think it's necessarily just the ones that are just running around. Like obviously like when he executed the one, like it had like the tendrils kind of come up and wrap around like its fingers. So maybe it depends on sort of like like the soil or the terrain that they're on, not necessarily the
I get it.
kilometers that are free moving. So
Yeah, I get it.
that's just like my interpretation of it. Just trying to like save aspects of the show that make sense because
Yes. So
don't want it to not
basically,
make.
yeah. So basically, if they killed one like in the middle of the street where there's none of the like the vines or whatever they are, and it just
Yeah,
dies, it's not gonna notify anybody.
yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
maybe. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see how the show goes, and there's going to be a lot more hordes coming up in the future episodes, but it'll be interesting to see how they keep incorporating that into future episodes. Um, and then obviously, like the last part that got changed was like how Tess dies. In the game, we have like Fedra roll up and like their armor cars, and it's like a big shootout. And you don't really get like that final moments with Tess before she sacrifices herself. Like when you're running away with Ellie and Joel in the game, you hear the soldiers and you just hear gunshots and like it's over. And like that's kind of all that happens. So I kind of like that they changed it because it sort of made more sense for like the world that they're trying to like walk through. Because if you think about it, it's like okay, like why would like Frederick just like show up randomly at the Capitol building? Like it didn't make much sense the way the show was being paced. Like it's not like they had a whole bunch of Federal soldiers that were just like on their ass tracking them down like through the city, and all of a sudden they just like roll up at the Capitol building. So I kind of like that they changed that up a little bit.
Yeah, pretty
I don't know how
much.
you felt about it.
No, I feel about the same because the only proof that they have is the soldier that Joel killed in the end of the last episode, and so they don't know who did it. So they don't really know, if they're out there or who they're looking for and stuff like that.
But as far as the changes goes, I think those were kind of like the main changes of the episode. Um, so as far as like, favorite parts of the episode, like I know I have my favorite part, but I mean, what would you say was your favorite part of the episode?
It's got to be the museum. Getting introduced to the clickers, seeing them fight it off, seeing how the clickers actually move around based on sound.
Yeah. I felt like that was such a good part. Like that was definitely my favorite part of the episode too. So
But
I
yeah,
feel like they were really like accurate with how they portrayed the clickers. It literally felt like I was just in the game, playing through the game, like running around cover and trying to get around the clicker. And I was thinking like, damn, like they don't have like a shiv, they don't have like a brick or anything they can go smack around with.
yeah.
But I like how they use the environment and the terrain to kind of like wrap around and sneak around them and stuff. But that was very like tense, very tense scene.
Okay, so you would say that that was your favorite part too?
Yeah, definitely my favorite part was just the introducing the show to the clickers for the first time. Definitely gave
Gotcha.
you a reason to be like afraid of them because they were pretty freaking scary and they were not easy to take down. So
Yeah, they have to get more. They have to find better ways to kill it using less
yeah,
material, basically.
yeah, for sure because they basically went through like most of their bullets and like I don't even think Joel was able to keep the rifle still at the end of it all. Like was he still able to keep the rifle or he probably like burned it up just fighting those two clickers?
I think he still has it. I don't know if he has ammo for it because when he got it from the soldier, he didn't get ammo from the soldier, so he probably just has that one
Yeah.
clip.
Which would have been nice if he would have scooped up like an AK before like leaving the museum, kind of like how Tess did. But I mean, they were in a hurry to go. They had to get out of there, so I understand.
Yeah, not too many gripes with the episode. I think Ellie kind of missed some jokes that would have hit. I think that's about it. It was just Ellie's sense of
Yeah.
humor. It's just kind of different.
I'm not completely convinced on Ellie's part yet because kind of like the same reason. Like I remember parts of the dialogue in the game that kind of felt a little bit more. It had a little bit more like volume and a little bit more. You kind of care more about Ellie's character in the game, and I'm not kind of like I don't really have a reason to care about Ellie so much yet in this show, other than what I already know from like her backstory. But like as a new viewer, I kind of find it hard convincing us that like we need to care about this girl. Like we care about her because she's a cure, but like, are we sympathetic to who she is and what she's lost? And I'm not really feeling that yet. But I don't hate her character. Like I still like her and Joel's like banter back and forth. I do like some of the dialogue that they kept in the game or in the show from the game. Um, but I wanted a little bit more from Tess and Joel's like final moments in the museum. Um, because there was more dialogue in the game, and I felt more of an emotional connection between Joel and Tess in the game versus their last moments in the show. Um, but I mean, I think that's just me being biased, though.
Right. Yeah, that was the only thing I had issues with is just her personality so far.
Hmm.
So should we do the ratings now?
Yeah. So, what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would still give it a 9. I felt like it was really good, still true to the source material.
Hmm.
I'm really excited about what's gonna happen next week, and it's keeping me there, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're moving the story along pretty quickly. So, episode 3 is going to be longer again. It's going to be like another 80 some minute episode. But like I said, it's going to bring Frank and Bill into it. So, you should probably check out the trailer for episode 3, the preview. Um, but I as well give it a 9 out of 10, just because even with the changes that they've made, I feel like the changes did nothing but contribute to the story. Um, Whereas we didn't have some of that context in the game. So it kept the focus on the three of them. You still got to see, you know, what Tess and Joel mean to each other till the end, which still kind of hit. Like it still kind of hit hard for me at the end. Even though I feel like that was more of a much more dramatic way for Tess to go in the show versus the game. The game, you don't get that. But I still give it a 9, just because there's a few things I wish they would have done like a little bit better. Um, like Ellie's character, like elevate that a little bit more. But overall, it's still a good episode. Really, really good episode. So yeah, excited for episode 3. We're still in it. We're
Yep,
still digging it.
yep. And I'm not sure if this is going to be out tonight or tomorrow morning, I guess, depending on how fast I can edit it.
Hmm.
But we will still be doing this every week unless something comes up and we can't, but we'll still do something for it.
Yeah, sounds good. So for you guys watching, uh, you know, please like, please subscribe, leave some comments below. Like, let us know what you guys thought of the episode. Whether you guys are, you know, fans of the game, if you ever played the game, or just experiencing this for the first time. We want to know your thoughts down below. So let us know what you all think.
Yes, and thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching our second episode on The Last of Us, the show. Appreciate you guys.
Definitely. So he's Sean, I'm Carlos, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend and have a good week. And we'll see you
We'll
guys
catch you
back
guys
next week.
on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.